Hinduism is a religion of mysticism, and if you are not a mystic, you cannot interpret Hinduism. The sacrifices described in the Vedas are one of the aspects of Hinduism that make it appear strange to those of the Judeo-Christian tradition who worship one God. But the sacrifices too have an inner meaning. As Frawley writes, the Vedic sacrifice is inwardly a purification of our faculties, including our breath, for the realization of truth, for putting back together the cosmic man, Indra, you. Indra, who is your true self. The Vedic fire sacrifice reflects an inner sacrifice of the ego to the flame of divine consciousness. Frawley also believes that the Vedic animal sacrifices were meant to be symbolic of the soul offering its vital nature to God. And he believes that the original Vedic people did not favor animal sacrifice. Yet in late Vedic times, he writes, when the culture had fallen and come under the influence of the warrior class, animal sacrifice became common. Do Hindus worship one god or many gods? That seems an easy question to one first visiting a Hindu temple. There are gods everywhere. Vishnu, Shiva, Surya, Ganesha, Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, Saraswati. And then there are the incarnations of Vishnu, Krishna and Rama. The first Europeans to visit India were convinced that the Hindus were heathens who worshipped many gods. But then some took a closer look, and they began to listen to what the Hindus were saying about themselves. Hindus believe that there is but one God who has many manifestations. Batika Mukherjee explains the Hindu view of God. Hindus use the term Sat-Chit-Ananda, being, consciousness, bliss, to express their idea of God. He who in essence is without form assumes countless forms in order that a devotee may find refuge at his feet. The many images of the Hindu pantheon are not many gods. They are varying aspects of the same ultimate reality called Sat-Chit-Ananda. Sat-Chit-Ananda. Hindus believe that each one should worship the aspect of God that gives him the greatest sense of devotion and oneness with God. Mukherjee writes, the God image most dear to the heart of a man is his own personal key to the mystery of the divine cosmic panorama that he seeks to unravel.
Maharishi?
Yeah?
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah?
Could you discuss Sat-Chit-Ananda?
Sat is absolute, non-changing truth. Beautiful. Now we have whole science of creative intelligence. Dr. Rains is here. Beautiful. Very good. Such a joy. Sat-Chit-Ananda. Sat is that which never changes. Truth. Absolute being. Chit is consciousness. Ananda is bliss. Absolute bliss consciousness. One point of remarkable interest to us. Absolute is a direct experience to us. Absolute is a living reality to us. Now, how could absolute be experienced? How could absolute be experienced? The word chit, consciousness, rescues the experience of absolute. If absolute were not chit or consciousness, it would not become a living reality. You see the point? It being absolute, if it is to become a living reality, it must have some magic in it. Because absolute flat won't be a living reality. It won't be an experience. And because we know when the nervous system is properly refined, pure nervous system reflects full absolute being, Sat. So when Sat is reflected in its fullness, then that Sat is taken to be having that attribute of Chit, which is consciousness. Consciousness is with reference to the self. Consciousness, basis of being conscious. So that consciousness is one with that which is never changing. And by virtue of this attribute, by virtue of the attribute of consciousness, the attributeless absolute becomes a living reality. When we dig deeper into the character of the absolute Sat, we are able to dig into it because it is intimate to us. And when it is intimate to us, when it is our consciousness, because it is our consciousness, it could become an experience, a direct experience. Otherwise, it would not be an experience. And because we know from our own experience that it is an experience, therefore we allot or attribute this attribute of consciousness to the attributeless absolute. Now, by being an experience and by virtue of having this attribute of consciousness, the attributeless still remains attributeless. Still it remains attributeless. It holds on to its absolute unbounded character. And that is why consciousness is equated with absolute. And that is why Sat-Chit, Ananda is a quality which goes with fullness, Ananda. Upanishads are very beautiful about this Ananda. They say, Anandadhyeo khalyumani bhutani jayante. You should also listen sometime the Upanishad. Anandadhyeo khalyumani bhutani jayante. Anandena jatani jivanti. Anandam sampratyavisam vishanti iti. Saisha bhargavi varuni vidya parme vyoman pratisthita. The whole philosophy of Ananda and Ananda as the basis of life, as the sustainer of life, and as that ultimate into which everything dissolves, that Ananda is life. The creation is born out of Ananda, is sustained in Ananda, will eventually dissolve in Ananda, will evolve from Ananda, will be maintained in Ananda, will dissolve in Ananda. The cycle of evolution and dissolution, which continues forever, is in Ananda. And Ananda alone is. This knowledge taught by Bhrigu to his son Varuni is located beyond Akasha, space. Akasha is characterized by sound. Wherever there is sound, there is Akasha. And when it is located beyond Akasha, it means it is located in the field which transcends sound. transcends speech, transcends thought. If you take awareness to that field of transcendental consciousness, you will know that Ananda is all that there is by direct experience. So, this verse of the Upanishad comes out to say about transcendental meditation and establishes that in and out of life is all that one element which is bliss. It speaks of life evolving from Ananda, creation coming out of Ananda, sustained in Ananda, goes to Ananda. The entire field of individual inception as a wave of cosmic life is in the field of Ananda. Bliss, which is myself. So, the eternity of Ananda is what puts Ananda parallel to Sat, which never changes. And because it can become a living reality, because bliss can become a living reality, this bliss is equated with Chit, consciousness. So Sat-Chit-Ananda, absolute bliss consciousness. And because it is Ananda, it's fulfilling. Because it is Chit, the absolute attributeless can become a living reality of day-to-day life. So this word Sat-Chit-Ananda opens to us the entire philosophy of life. Sat-Chit-Ananda, and that I am, and that thou art, and all this is that. And that is it. This is the story of Sat-Chit-Ananda. The one point, because Absolute is a living reality, it can be equated with Chit, which is consciousness. If it were not consciousness, it would not become an experience, and if it would not become an experience, it could not become a living reality. But we live it, we know it, and therefore Sat is equated with Chit, and Chit equated with Ananda. Because when Sat is Chit, it's a direct experience. Then what is that experience? Next word says it's bliss, fulfilling, absolute happiness. This is the experience. Sat is that which never changes, abstract reality which never changes. That which never changes, non-relative, must be abstract. If it is abstract, can it be experienced? We say yes, because it is consciousness. And then if it is consciousness, a direct experience, then what is that experience? Bliss. So all the inquiry about the abstract underlying reality is solved, is explained by one word, Sat-Chit-Ananda. That will be enough for the time being.